Oh, did you hear about how the Netherlands, the Dutch government seized Nexperia, this Chinese company that creates chips that go in a lot of European auto manufacturers use their chips?
Oh yeah, Nexperia, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Actually, Nexperia was a Dutch company, but
Okay.
it was purchased by Wingtech, and
Yep.
so Wingtech, the chairman was appointed to Nexperia, Zhang Huijing. I'm totally murdering that, but that's okay because
They're not watching.
my name has an L in it, so they'd mess up mine too. But they he was he was assigned by Wingtech to be the chairman, and a Dutch court cited well-found reasons to doubt sound management, and so
Mm.
they seized control under an old law.
And then immediately after that, looks like the Chinese government retaliated by saying, well, we're not gonna be sending any more work to those factories, so.
Yeah, because the problem is some of the components are assembled in the Netherlands and Germany, other places, but the chips, the heart and soul of those slightly larger components that find their way into hundreds of thousands of automobiles. The original chips are made in a company that was a Nexperia factory, but that factory is in China, and so China threw export controls on in retaliation. So now none of the chips can be sent out, and so a lot of manufacturers, BMW has been cited, but it's way more than that
Yep. It
because
says
these
Nexperia
chips find
produces.
their way into Bosch fuel injection, for instance.
Hmm.
And so a lot of car companies use Bosch fuel injection.
Yep.
They go into steering racks. Japan is having trouble with components
Hmm.
uh, based on what's going on, and all of them so far are pulling the. At this moment, our factories are operating normally, but watch
Mm.
out
Yeah, BMW
because
said the same thing about this, but
yep,
Nexperia produces hundreds of millions of chips each year. So we're going to see something like who is it exactly? The European Automobile Manufacturers Association, they're already freaking out about it and like immediately when this was announced. So,
with good cause. I
yeah.
mean, it's funny. Some people have possibly linked this to the trade issues between the Trump administration and China, but it looks like this is totally separate. Uh, this is something totally on the side of the Dutch of the Netherlands. The
Yeah, it doesn't
Dutch and the
seem like
Netherlands, that's the same, right? I always get
yeah,
confused by
yes.
those countries up there.
It is, yeah.
Okay,
All right, what else we
it's
got?
not France. I know that.
No. They have windmills there, but not frogs.
France doesn't have windmills. It seems
Nope.
kind of
They're
sad.
only in the Netherlands.
Only.
Nowhere else.
Oh, so on my way to Texas, I must have accidentally drove through the Netherlands
Those
the
are
other day.
turbines. Those are wind turbines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My cute blonde girls with wooden shoes or anything like that weren't walking around underneath them. So I guess I should have known the difference.
Yes, yeah. All right.
Yep.
We were talking about
So it
escapes.
seems like the strain on the supply chain is never ending. I mean, we go
Yep,
from
yeah.
COVID shutdowns to uh, we can't make a simple plastic piece for the roof of the Ford Bronco to
Mm.
we can't get these chips anymore. Always seems to be chips. And of
Yeah, that's a
course,
big one. We were talking about
chips are
how,
hard to make.
yep, definitely. We were talking about the CHIPS Act and how Biden was trying to deal with the
Right,
same issue and make sure that during COVID, the US wouldn't be stunted again by some trade war or some unforeseen circumstance like COVID, just destroying like our, what's it called?
right. Well, you have three basic problems with that premise. And of course, it was very good to try to make it so that more chips are manufactured in the United States, giving people, multiple supply lines for one thing. Uh, but there's three problems. Number one, you and me can't go out tomorrow and build a chip factory and start selling chips out of our backyard next week. It takes probably longer to make a chip factory, get it from the ground up lay out the foundations and start popping chips out the front door, then it probably takes longer than it takes to make an automobile factory.
Hmm.
I mean, they're massively complex. Uh, the machines that actually print the chips, hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's also very expensive to get a chip company, a chip factory rolling. And if you have different variables like whether they're going to be tariffs in one direction or the other, it makes it more important to have a multi-pronged supply chain, but it makes it harder to build one and to sustain the different factories in the different locations once you do
Yes,
have
yeah.
it.
Did they suspend the chip? Like, did Trump suspend the CHIPS Act or anything like that?
No, I believe that's something that hasn't been touched.
Okay,
Uh,
because at least
I
like you mentioned the tariffs. Let's say you're like, okay, the CHIPS Act. I'm gonna try and open a chip factory in the U.S. and you get started doing that. And of course, it's not gonna happen in a week or a month. And then you have the uncertainty of these tariffs and like whether there's gonna be tariffs on China tomorrow or wherever you're gonna get your parts, your all the stuff to create those semiconductors. Like it just creates a lot of uncertainty that makes you not willing to. Am I gonna invest $800 million in a chip factory? I'm not sure it's gonna pan out. So
Yeah, probably more like 3 or 4 billion at
yeah,
least
yeah,
minimum. And
definitely.
then so that's two of the problems. And the third is uh, I imagine sometime in the 80s, you had a 6502 and you had an 8088 chip, and you had maybe about 10 chips. 10 chips went into everything. You could pop the hood on a Ford, pull open its little computer. One of the 10 chips was in there. And if you really had to, you pull open the floorboards under a Dodge, pull out that computer. Look at that same chip. So you could have the supply of these chips come from Texas Instruments. You could get the same chip supplied to you by NVIDIA or by, trying to remember, what's the other big one? Made all the chips for,
AMD?
yeah, AMD. Any of those guys could make you chips because there was only, like I said, there were about 10 chips. But
Hmm.
now there are millions of different designs, all types of different applications. These chips are not interchangeable. Even the manufacturing ability to make the different ones isn't interchangeable almost.
Hmm.
I mean, a factory that can make maybe 85 different types of chips. There's another factory that can make maybe 70 chips. And those two factories can't make any of the chips that the other factory makes. And
Hmm.
so you don't have any interchangeability or flexibility, or at least not much flexibility. So if you lose the supply chain on one type of chip, sometimes that supply chain is unique.
No, yeah, it says Nexperia only owns, I think, three factories in Hamburg, in Manchester, and in the Netherlands, and yet those three factories get shut down, and the European market is looking at a whole crisis.
Right? Yeah. So training retention is terrible, and new hires wash out really even in less than weeks even. And part of it is because we stopped teaching sales and just started babysitting order takers. We stopped doing in-depth training, especially during the supply chain mess. We just had order takers, and now of course we have full, complete, or at least until the new chip shortage kicks in, we have full, complete supply, and we have salespeople that have never had to sell before.
Hmm. And prices are going up as well, so it's a harder sell to make.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've got to talk value, we've got to sell value, overcome objections, compare features. And the newer group of salespeople, it seems, is lost. And it's like teaching somebody to fish, after they've been taught how to open cans of tuna fish and eat it with a spork. It's a lot difficult. Not that I've ever successfully fished myself, so just put that out there.
It is pretty rough out there. Couldn't better training fix that?
If they'd stay long enough to train, and if the
Mm.
dealership would put out the effort, uh, but most of the dealerships should just give a week of videos, a huge binder, and tell them, go ahead and memorize this, and then drop them on the floor and tell them catching up. And they freeze up the first time a customer sells. Well, the guy down the street at Toyota said, and you can almost see their soul leaving their body and their eyes become blank and misty.
So what would you do differently?
Well, I think other than engaging one or two people that, even if they have other duties, act as a training manager directly, I would bring back mentorship, actual shadowing. Let the rookies sit next to a vet, bring him and the customers coffee, cold drinks, and depending, if your dealership's in Colorado, maybe blunts. I'm not sure if that's legal. And so they can hear how a deal actually sounds in reality without a bunch of make believe and things that aren't reality. So
Hmm.
train them with real objections, not little playing cards or PowerPoints or for whatever you. And for the love of sales, teach them the difference between knowing features and knowing how to use features in relationships to benefits to close a sale.
Hmm. Yeah. Sounds like you're saying we need less training modules and more salesmanship muscle.
Exactly. Technology is great until you use it to replace hard work or common sense altogether. So if you want to train new salespeople, make them feel like pros, make them feel like they really have the knowledge and the experience, so that they're not just placeholders on the floor. Like, well, it's actually, I was watching a documentary on World War II and Japanese prisoners of war. And the Japanese prisoners of war, two things made them really, really despondent about, what was going to happen with their country in the war. Number one was, we had a damn ship that made ice cream and brought it to our soldiers in the South Pacific. And they're going, if the Americans can give their soldiers ice cream and we barely get ammunition, we're in trouble. But the other big thing was uh, they were getting 20 days of training, and US soldiers were getting 100. Their
Hmm.
pilots were getting 30 days at the beginning, and I'm sorry, our airmen were getting, months.
Hmm.
And so you need to give a person enough experience so that they have the confidence to sell and the knowledge to go along with it to make them credible when they're selling, instead of just winging it until they figure out something for a year.
You're thinking of Advanta-STAR again, aren't you?
Well, yeah, it's obviously a key tool, not only for experienced salespeople who will use it to sell benefits and convert shoppers and convert people who want to leave, but nothing will give a rookie more credibility than being able to show side by side to a customer proof that their product is better, so that they can stop panicking and start selling, so they can stop being defensive and start being
Hmm.
conversational and uh, working with the customer.
Yes, yeah. You can feel like you have so much to add and be give showing all these benefits to the customer instead of being like, well, yeah, it costs that much because like, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It costs that much because the Dutch just pissed off China.
Yeah. They kicked the wasp nest. All right.
Although they can throw that one in for free.
So let me get this straight. Ford can't sell the Escape in 6 states because it's too dirty. And we can't sell half our new hires because they're too green.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. One's missing emissions credit, the other one's missing confidence.
Yeah, both could use a tune-up. Within for a guy who still calls the CRM the Rolodex, you make a lot of sense.
I have one of those little books that has business cards in it, with the little plastic slots. Yeah, experience, Walter. It's like your engine control computer. You don't appreciate it until it's gone. Click, click, click. The global supply chain. Any one guy who gets mad at another one little guy can end up stopping millions of cars from being manufactured.
Yep, yeah. So we need to learn how to work together and not butt heads, or we need to. I won't suggest that we de-globalize the economy because I don't think that's the solution. But we obviously should be.
Oh no, we should totally rebuild is it Willow Run or the Rouge plant? Ford once had a plant that basically was like miles long.
Oh, hell yeah.
At the beginning, like rubber,
Hmm.
raw steel, raw, not not sheet glass, but the raw materials to make glass,
Hmm.
and like copper went into one end and cars came out the other.
That's pretty
But yeah,
cool.
that'd be really cool. So we build a factory over here that makes chips, and they just punch over here to the side of the factory, and another
Hmm.
factory that makes rubber tires. And yeah, no, cars are a little too complex for that these days.
Hmm. So we shouldn't turn Mississippi into a giant factory that creates everything.
Just for fun. Let's do it
Okay.
next weekend.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Sounds good.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you and it really helps out.